Hey everybody, welcome back to Turner Talk with Deputy Robert Curvin, Episode 4. I'm Deputy Robert Curvin coming to you right here in Centerville, South Dakota. Appreciate you all listening in again. Our topic today is automated license plate readers, or ALPRs. What are they? What is their purpose? And how they help law enforcement. Then we'll jump into a couple of community questions. Before I begin, I need to provide a formal disclaimer. Any questions, stories, or experiences submitted for this podcast are treated as strictly anonymous. I do not collect names, personal identifiers, or any information that could reasonably be used to identify an individual. Nothing shared here will ever be disclosed in a manner that could be traced back to you. This platform is intended solely for general discussion, education, and transparency. Additionally, I am not an attorney, and nothing discussed on this podcast should be interpreted as legal advice. All commentary related to law enforcement is based on my professional experience and information available through public record. For any situation requiring legal guidance or interpretation of the law, listeners should consult a licensed attorney or a qualified legal professional. Now, with that being said, today we're breaking down a tool that's become a major part of modern policing: automated license plate readers. You've probably heard of them, but not everyone knows the different ways agencies actually deploy these systems. So let's break it down into three categories: fixed, mobile, and covert, and what each one brings to the table. Automated license plate readers have been around for about 50 years, with the first true automated systems appearing in the mid-1970s. To be more specific, 1976, which were invented by the Police Scientific Development Branch in the United Kingdom. Early prototypes were working by 1979, and the first arrests using the technology occurred in 1981. The systems become more widely adopted in the 1990s as cameras and software improved. If you're thinking in terms of modern policing tools, automated license plate readers feel new, but the core technology is about 5 decades old. What is new is how inexpensive, accurate, and networked they've become, especially since the mid-2010s. Now, for fixed automated license plate readers, think of these as your permanent, always on cameras. They're mounted on poles, traffic lights, overpasses, anywhere vehicles naturally funnel through. Their job is simple: high volume, 24/7 data captured. These cameras create digital choke points that help track stolen vehicles, suspects, Amber Alerts, and movement patterns across the city or county. The strength here is consistency. Fixed ALPRs, automated license plate readers, gives you a predictable data flow and strong analytics. The limitation: they only see what passes the specific location. For mobile ALPRs, these are the units mounted on patrol cars, transport vans, or specialty vehicles. Mobile ALPR shines because it goes wherever the officer goes: neighborhoods, rural roads, school zones, special events, you name it. It's perfect for proactive patrol, interdiction, and warrant service. The trade-off is that the coverage depends on the officer's activity. When the vehicle stops, the scanning stops. Now, the last one, covert automated license plate readers. These systems are discreet, hidden in unmarked vehicles, disguised housing, or placed in locations where nobody would ever expect a camera. Covert automated license plate readers is built for surveillance, narcotics investigations, fugitive tracking, and monitoring high crime corridors without tripping off the offenders. It's flexible, low visibility, but usually produces lower volume than fixed systems and may have limited power or network options depending on how it is concealed. So here's a quick rundown. Fixed gives you high volume, strategic 24/7 coverage. Mobile gives you flexibility and officer-driven scanning, and covert gives you discrete surveillance and investigative research. Three different tools, each with different purpose, but together they they form a powerful network that helps agencies solve crimes faster and keeps communities safer. So with that being said, we're going to take a short break here, and we'll jump into some of the community questions. This podcast is going to be a little bit shorter than normal, but that was one of the questions itself about license plate readers I got over the last week or so here. So with that being said, we'll take a quick break and then we'll jump into a couple of community questions. All right, so now let's get into the community questions. I got asked this question earlier this week. Do you think law enforcement is on the up climb in terms of staffing? So, as I stated during my campaign for Turner County Sheriff, there is a formula that is used to calculate how many deputies a county needs per population, which is 2.5 to 3 sworn officers per 1,000 residents. Using that guideline, Turner County recommended staffing range would be approximately, with the population approximately being 9,300, and that formula of 2.5 to 3 deputies per 1,000, that puts it around 23.25 deputies at the minimum and 27.9 deputies at the upper half of that guideline. So the recommended range for deputies in Turner County itself is about 23 to 28 sworn deputies. Now, that does not include any jail staff, dispatch, civil deputies, or administrative personnel or transporters. Now, with that being said, what the formula doesn't account for is the money side of it. It costs money to get more deputies, and 23 to 28 sworn would not be feasible for Turner County. But 13 to 15 is, and it's what I would recommend. Now, I have noticed Turner County now has a chief deputy and 2 patrol sergeants, and they have posted on Facebook an opening for another deputy position. So it's clear that they are on the upward swing on getting staffing where it's supposed to be. But the hard part will be keeping those deputies. As stated in a previous episode, training and guidance is key here. So next community question, do you think people support law enforcement more today than they did in 2020? I want to remind listeners to always confirm political related information with trusted sources. Now, public support for law enforcement and how it compares to where things stood back in 2020. If you remember in 2020, how tough that year was for policing across the country. National surveys from groups like Gallup and Pew showed support for law enforcement hitting a historic low. It was a year filled with tension, protests, and a lot of uncertainty. Confidence in policing dropped to levels we hadn't seen in decades. But here's the important part. That trend didn't stay there. Over the last few years, support for law enforcement has steadily climbed back up. Surveys in 2021 through 2024 show a clear rebound in public confidence, and that increase is especially strong in rural communities. Places like Turner County, where people value stability, accountability, and relationships they have with their local deputies. So why the shift? A few reasons stand out. Communities saw the impact of reduced staffing and rise in crimes in some areas, like in Minnesota. Their crime skyrocketed. The crime rate just, they defunded their police and it skyrocketed. There's no way to say there's no way to put it any other way, is Less cops, more crime. That's what happened. And what's happening in Minnesota now is they are trying to get their police forces back up by starting people off with a ton of money to like there was some agencies that are paying over $50 an hour in the Twin Cities area. But the issue is when you defunded the police in Minnesota and you showed you did not support your law enforcement, they left and they came here to South Dakota, where our community supported law enforcement. We didn't see the horrible things that were happening in Minneapolis. We didn't see the looting. We had protests, but they were peaceful protests. We didn't see all the riots. That didn't happen here. Even though we're only about 4 hours away, it didn't happen here. And I was reminded just yesterday, talking to a group of people, they expressed to me how much they support law enforcement and they want to support law enforcement. They get upset when they hear people defaming police officers and deputies and troopers and any form of law enforcement because they know our job is not easy. We see things that people should not see. We're there for people on their worst days. We're there for people on their best days sometimes, but most of the time it is on their worst day. So as human beings, it literally goes into how we're going to treat you as law enforcement. My personal philosophy, everybody's human. Everybody makes mistakes. I don't need to be a bully. I don't need to be a jerk or anything like that. I can treat you with civility and professionalism. I can speak to you. I can explain the situation, understanding that you're upset about the situation that you're having to meet me on that day. But again, if I've stopped you on a traffic stop, given you a citation for speed or any other violation, I try to be a positive person to where it is not going to put you in a worse mood. Let's face it, everybody will be in a bad mood if they're getting a ticket. But again, the situation doesn't have to be compounded with the way I treat you in a negative way. If I treat you positively, you may say, oh, yeah, I deserve this. And for me, when I write tickets, it is usually because it is deserved. So with that being said, over the last few years, this, like I said, it's steadily been climbing back. And a few reasons for that standout is community saw the impact again with the staffing and the reduced staffing and the rising crime. Agencies improve transparency, and every agency needs to be transparent. We should have been from the get-go. We're not hiding anything. When I train new deputies and I tell them we're on a traffic stop, you know why you stopped them, so tell them. It's not a secret. If you're going to cite somebody, you can tell them before you even leave their window, hey, and this is what I tell them, hey, that speed was a little too high for me to give you a warning, so I'm going to give you a citation. But on the positive side here, I'm going to try to help you out as much as I can and get that reduced. So it's not you were going 10 over, which in the state of South Dakota is $117.50 ticket. You're going 10 over, you're getting that ticket at $117.50. South Dakota we talked about this with the speed laws and traffic stops and all that with the point systems. We don't have points here. We'll reiterate that we don't have points here. But again, I have the discretion to say, I'm going to write you for a 5-over ticket instead of a 10-over ticket. So that way, one, it's not hitting the wallet too hard. Again, most of us in law enforcement, when we stop somebody, we don't know your financial situation. We don't know what's going through your life that day. Like, there has only been one time in my career out of the thousands of traffic stops that I've done where I did know the financial situation of somebody. And because I knew it, I gave her a warning. I knew that she had been robbed. All of her money had been stolen. She's trying to do repairs to her house that it was thousands of dollars worth of damage done to it. And she was just having a bad day, spacing out, and was speeding. And it was at a mark where it would have hurt the wallet. So, in that sense, I gave her a warning because, again, we are human. And it's a rare moment that law enforcement, such as myself, do know a little bit more about the financial portion of coming onto those things. So, like I said, our communities here, like in Turner, we value the transparency. We value the honesty, the accountability. That is what we value here in our small communities. And our deputies should reflect that. They should value those things as well. Now, the sheriff's office in particular gained trust because they're local, they're supposed to be visible, and they're directly connected to people they serve. So, in a short answer, yes, people support of law enforcement is more today than it was in 2020. The numbers show it, and conversations happening in communities show it. So, again, everything here, it's the support in law enforcement is going up. It's not like that in every community, obviously. And there are certain people that just don't like law enforcement, and you're human, you're allowed that. This is America. You're allowed to not like everybody if you don't want to. You don't have to like me. But just know, even if you don't like me, I'm going to treat you with respect. I'm going to treat you with the professionalism that hopefully if you don't like me, you at least respect what I do and the purpose of why I'm doing what I do. So again, today, that's our time. Before we leave, I need to provide the formal disclaimer. Any questions, stories, or experiences submitted for this podcast are treated as strictly anonymous. I do not collect names, personal identifiers, or any information that could reasonably be used to identify an individual. Nothing shared here will ever be disclosed in a manner that could be traced back to you. This platform is intended solely for general discussion, education, and transparency. Additionally, I am not an attorney, and nothing discussed on this podcast should ever be interpreted as legal advice. All commentary related to law enforcement is based on my professional experience and information available through public record. For any situation requiring legal guidance or interpretation of law, listeners should consult a licensed attorney or a qualified legal professional. Stay safe, stay smart, stay informed. If you got questions, topics you want to go over, or something you want clarified, send them my way. This podcast is about keeping our community informed and grounded. This has been Turner Talk with Deputy Robert Curvin. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you on the next episode. And again, to my brothers and sisters in blue, we're not better because we wear the badge, but we have to be better because we wear the badge. You guys have a great night, and see you next time.